Act 1, Scene 3. Enter Shylock, the Jew. So this is on page 69. This is our first introduction to Shylock. And immediately they talk about, we're going to see the first bond here. We talked about the 5 bonds, remember? This bond is the bond between Bassanio and Shylock. Already, in this case, between Shylock and Antonio. So, Shylock says, 3,000 ducats. Well, aye, sir, for 3 months. For 3 months? Well, for the which I told you, Antonio shall be bound. Bound. Highlight that. Bound. That's the first bond we're talking about here. Antonio shall be bound. Well, actually, Antonio shall be bound. Well, you borrowing the money, but I'm going to get it from Antonio. So, what I want to focus on here, you guys, is the way both Shylock and Bassanio's style of speech changes. If you look on their first 2 speeches coming up here, from Shylock's first speech, starting from line 15. Type of speech is this? Is this prose or is this blank verse? Iambic pentameter. As you can tell, it's prose. Okay, it's just block prose. If you try to read this in meter, it's going to sound ridiculous. But then if you notice on the, Bassanio essentially doesn't really give a speech here. But yeah, his first 2, Shylock's first 2 speeches essentially are all in prose, kind of street pedestrian language. But then it switches over to, when we pick up with line 40, it switches over to metrical speech, or blank verse, with the stately iambic pentameter. Now again, remember we mentioned when someone switches from pedestrian prose to iambic pentameter, they are either now addressing someone who is of importance, or they are saying something very important that needs a higher level of language. And the clue here is aside. Notice in line 30, beginning of the speech, line 38, 39, Shylock says aside, which means that he's saying this either to himself or he's saying this, blasting it out to the audience. So you could either be breaking the fourth wall in a sense by confiding in us his thoughts about this Gentile, or he could be speaking to himself. Either way, it's important. So he begins, how like a fawning publican he looks. I hate him, for he's a Christian. And then he continues to go. And let's go back, though, to his first speech, his first answer, just in prose, So Bassanio says, well, you're going to give us the money or not? Shylock says, line 15, you're not going to, he says, no, my meaning in saying that he is a good man, that's Antonio, is for you to have, for you to understand me that he is sufficient, yet his means are in supposition, doubt. All his ships, his argosies are bound to Tripolis. Tripolis, that's North Africa, that's Libya. Another to the Indies. That's a huge distance away. India. I understand, moreover, upon the Rialta, he hath a third at Mexico. So his ships are in Mexico, in India, in North Africa. They're all over the place. And other ventures he had squandered abroad. But ships are but boards, sailors but men. There be land rats, water thieves and land thieves, I mean pirates, and then there's the peril of waters, winds and rocks. The man is notwithstanding sufficient, 3,000 ducats. I think I may take his bond. So, he's rattling. He is playing for time. He's speaking a lot of whatever it is. It's not important. He's not making a speech. And so it's all in prose. And then Bassanio answers, "Be assured you may. I will be assured I may. And that I may be assured I will bethink me." A little bit, how would you say this? Could be a little sinister, you know? Sort of a play on the words assured and surety. Surety is essentially your, how are you going to underwrite? If I give you a loan, what will you give me as your surety? If I give you $10,000, I want your house to be surety. I want your car to be surety. So what is his surety? All his money is out there in ships. What is my surety? You'll see it'll end up being that pound of flesh. "May I speak with Antonio?" And then Bassanio invites him to dinner. Now, how he invites him to dinner completely depends on the director and how they want to portray what type of tension or lack of tension they want to play between these characters. Shylock says, "Oh, yes, to smell pork, to eat of the habitation with which your prophet, the Nazarite, Jesus, conjured the devil into. I will buy with you, sell with you, talk with you, walk with you, and so following, but I will not eat with you, drink with you, nor pray with you." Now, how is that said? That could be said in a very nasty put-down, but it could also be, I've seen performances where this is said jokingly, and everyone roars with laughter and slaps themselves on their backs. It's like, you know, they're treating Shylock like this silly man, kind of a comic character who says silly things he doesn't really mean, right? The comic Shylock, not the Shylock we saw with Al Pacino. This Shylock had deep feelings, and let those feelings be known. But again, all this in prose. So why does he switch then to blank verse when he says the following? Well, just listen to this language. This language is now, he's not speaking any longer to this Gentile. He's speaking to himself, and he's thinking beyond just this immediate situation. He says, and the language becomes cadenced and metrical, "How like a fawning publican he looks. I hate him, for he is a Christian. But more than that, in low simplicity, he lends out money gratis, free, and brings down the rate of usance or interest here with us in Venice. If I can catch him once upon the hip, I will feed fat the ancient grudge I bear him. He hates our sacred nation, and he rails even there where merchants do most congregate. On me, my bargains, and my well-won thrift, which he calls interest. Oh, cursed be my tribe if I forgive him." You see, that's powerful, cadenced language of intent. It needs to be metrical. "Shylock, do you hear?" Because Shylock's kind of in his own world right now. And Shylock comes back and stays in the metrical blank verse by saying, "I am debating of my present store, and by the near guess of my memory, I cannot instantly raise up the gross of full 3,000 ducats. What of that? Tubal, a wealthy Hebrew of my tribe, will furnish me. But soft, how many months do you desire? Rest you fair, good signor, your worship was the last man in our mouths." So it's interesting here why you would expect him, once he starts addressing Bassanio again, to switch back to prose. But he doesn't. And it's not terribly clear why he doesn't. It's almost like he's continuing on in his sort of deeper mood. So it's, yeah. Sometimes it's not clear why Shakespeare does what he does. Let's switch over to page, we'll pick it up from line 95. Antonio has come in here, and we have the three of them here. Antonio speaks in blank verse. He is a pretty high nobleman, usually speak in blank verse. Says, mark you this, Bassanio, the devil can cite scripture for his purposes. An evil soul producing holy witness is like a villain with a smiling cheek, a goodly apple rotten at the heart. Oh, what a goodly outside falsehood hath. He's talking here about Shylock. It's blank verse because he is in sort of proverb mode. He's teaching the truth about Jews. Mark, he's citing scripture, essentially. The devil, just like Shylock, the devil can cite scripture for his purpose. And this Shylock is like a villain, like a devil with a smiling cheek, a goodly apple rotten at the heart. Oh, what a goodly outside falsehood hath. Shylock, who doesn't seem to necessarily paid attention to what he's saying, 3,000 ducats, 'tis a good round sum, 12 months from 12, then let me see the rate. He's like calculations. Well, Shylock, shall we be beholden to you? Oh, signor, he answers in blank verse, noble character. Signor Antonio. Now he's coming to a decision, and he's being a little expository. Signor Antonio, many a time and oft in the Rialto you have rated me about my moneys and my usances, my interest rates. Still have I borne it with a patient shrug, for sufferance is the badge of all our tribe. You call me misbeliever, cutthroat, dog, and spit upon my Jewish gabardine, and all for use of that which is mine own. Well then, it now appears you need my help. Go to then. You come to me and you say, Shylock, we would have moneys. You say so. You that did void your room upon my beard, and foot me as you spurn a stranger cur over your threshold. Money is your suit. What should I say to you? Should I not say, have the dog money? Is it possible a cur can lend 3,000 ducats? Or shall I bend low and in a bondsman's key, with bated breath and whispering humbleness, say this? Fair sir, you spat on me Wednesday last. You spurned me such a day. Another time you called me a dog. And for these courtesies I'll lend you this much money. Now again, I've seen this performed in a very, very funny comic way. They all laughing with Shylock as he's totally putting them down in a sort of ha way, slapping each other in the back. It's not the way it's done in recent performances, from what I've seen. Antonio responds, I am as like to call thee so again. Yeah, I'll repeat all my insults. To spit on thee again, to spurn thee too. If thou wilt lend this money, lend it not as to thy friends, for when did friendship take a breed for barren metal of his friend? But lend it rather to thine enemy, me, who, if he break, thou mayst with better face exact the penalty. Who, says Shylock, look you how you storm. I would be friends with you, and have your love. Forget the shames that you have stained me with. Supply your present wants, and take no doit of usance for my monies. And you'll not hear me. I'm trying to be your friend. This were kindness, sarcasm. Oh, this kindness will I show, line 140. Go with me to a notary. Seal me there your single bond. And in a merry sport, if you repay me not on such a day, in such a place, such sums are expressed in the condition, let the forfeit be nominated for an equal pound of your fair flesh, to be cut off and taken in whatever part of your body pleaseth me. Content in faith, I'll seal to such a bond, and say there is much kindness in the Jew. He's not taking this too seriously. A pound of flesh is worth nothing. Oh, you shall not seal to such a bond for me. I'd rather dwell in my necessity. All rhyming couplets of wrapping up the conversation. Why, fear not, man, I will not forfeit it. Within these 2 months, that's a month before this bond expires, I do expect return of 3 times much the value of this bond. This bond being flesh. Oh, Father Abram, what these Christians are, whose own hard dealings teaches them suspect the thoughts of others, says to Bassanio, pray you, tell me this. If he should break his day, in other words, he doesn't make it back in time, what should I gain by the exaction of the forfeitures? A pound of man's flesh taken from a man is not so estimable, profitable neither, as flesh of muttons, beeves, or goats, I say, to buy his favour. I extend this friendship, if he will take it so, if not, adieu, and for my love, I pray you wrong me not. Yes, Shylock, I will seal unto this bond. Then meet me forthwith at the notary's, and give him direction for this merry bond, and I will go and purse the ducats straight. See to my house, left in the fearful guard of an unthrifty knave, and presently I'll be with you. Hie thee, gentle Jew, the Hebrew will turn Christian. He grows kind. Ooh, it's a nasty little put down there. The Hebrew will turn Christian. He grows kind. Terribly ironic. There wasn't too much kindness between Christians and Hebrews. Bassanio doesn't like this. I fear not. I like not fair terms in a villain's mind. And come on, in this there can be no dismay. My ships will come home a month before the day.